Hello, and welcome to another Prog review. And if you haven't guessed already, or you haven't read the description, or you haven't seen the album cover, I'm going to be talking about Van der Graaf Generator's Pawn Hearts. Now, this one has been requested. I think a number of you have asked for this, so I shall begin. Now, this is one of those albums from 1971, and it's probably the most difficult album to get into. It's not an easy record to love. It opens subtly with some strummed acoustic guitars, but the pervasive sense of doom soon engulfs the proceedings, and the listening experience is one of dread. Now, don't get me wrong, I like doom and gloom and destruction, and if you want to be terrified and horrified in equal portions, then this really is the album for you. And Lemmings, including Cog, now you mustn't forget the Cog, no, don't want to forget the Cog, is the ideal introduction to the album. It's the opening track. It's an unstoppable behemoth of a song, and it pushes you forward, a bit like the Lemmings in the song. And it is a dirge to the blind stupidity of youth. It's part Pied Piper fable, part Hammer House of Horror. It's a song that is, again, it's one of those songs that's lyrically dense and clever, and some of the conceits can easily get lost in the power of the music. It's very, very powerful. It's a good mixture.
Greasy machinery slides on the rails, young minds and bodies on steel spokes impaled, cogs tearing bones, iron-throated monsters are forcing the screams, mind and machinery box press our dreams.
Now, forget all the music of the metal genre that relies on images of devils and imps and goblins and God knows what else. This is horror. But it's not all bad news, because Peter Hamill does a whole switcheroo in the last part of the song. And the last section of lyrics, they actually resolve themselves into kind of a backhanded song of hope. What choice is there left but to live in the hope of saving the children's little ones? Question mark. It's one of hope. We must save the future generations. So he flips the lyric around from despair into hope, but the overbearing dread wrought by the music is heavy and all-consuming. It's a powerful song. It's a crashing combination of the sax and the drums and Hamill's screaming vocals. It makes it a very heady beginning for that difficult album. The second track up is Man Erg. Yeah. And it always starts, for me, with a piano refrain that sounds a little like a house with no door. And then Hamill is off singing about killers inside of him and the inherent aggression that lurks within us all. Slice my mind, he sings, and the aggressive imagery is back to stab you in the throat. And it's an interesting way of delivering the idea that man and woman is a multifaceted creature, a killer, an angel, a refugee, if you please. And then the saxes honk, and we're back off into the realm of prog horror, and then that's a genre I've just made up. There you go. And if there were a music video to accompany this song, both Sir Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing would be putting in an appearance, I bet. And it all makes me feel uneasy, and my heart actually races when I listen to the first two tracks of this album. Such is the power and the strength of it, and the general feelings that of unease it gives me. But don't worry, there are other songs that have the same effect on me, and one day I shall talk about those too. Anyway, the last section of the song continues with the horror imagery, but music almost takes on a mutated lounge style with some weirdly laid back drumming from Guy Evans. The song resolves itself into almost like a hymn-like mode before the staccato middle section returns and crashes into the proceedings and brings the song to a crescendo. And that's just side one. So if we were back in the old days of the turntable and vinyl, we'd have to get up and flip it over, remembering not to touch the grooves. Look, I'm not touching the grooves, because touching the grooves is a schoolboy error of great magnitude. Look, I'm not touching the grooves. Look at me, I'm not touching the grooves. Oh God, a plague of lighthouse keepers. It's such a big meal to work through. I don't know if I can give it justice, but I'm going to give it a go, so bear with me, okay? Again, continuing the prog horror theme of the first side, this 23-minute, 12-second, depending on which version you listen to, slab of prog is probably the most difficult piece of prog to digest in the first sitting. I guarantee that most of you will find it hard to make it through to the end. It's a song suite that isn't naturally likeable, and it's not a song that will make you go, hey, let me play that one again. Like a good horror film, you've got to go off and digest it, think about the imagery, let it settle, work through it in your mind, and then regain your nerve to go back for a second helping. So, what's it about? Well, it's a song of solitude, casting the protagonist alone in the lighthouse, surrounded by a storm. And it is sure to bring the whole structure down, this storm. It's so powerful, and he's alone. And there's imagery of the tower coming down and him being washed away to his inevitable death. And during the storm, images of broken ships and lost souls and the unending melee sends the lighthouse keeper into madness that leads him into his role of the drowning man and final serenity. Or is it all just a fevered dream? Hey. The music, it's quite heavy stuff. It mimics the rhythm of the sea, from calm, soothing waves to crashing, gale-infused rollers. And keep your ear out for another prog stalwart, because Mr. Fripp makes an appearance towards the end with some burning electric guitar. Now, if you're one of those people that follows remasters and new editions, the 2005, I think, edition is a double CD, and on the second CD there's a load of bonus material, because believe it or not, the original Pawn Hearts was meant to be a double album, and they've included some of the tracks which were lost and found, have been found and brought back into the package. And so the double CD has these tracks, and they're three tracks, and for me they're not that interesting. They're a bit undercooked, a bit underdeveloped. But the good thing is you do get the excellent song W, just so I do that for you, be a bit hip with the kids, and you also get the VDG's version of Theme 1 by George Martin, which is a corker as well. So, up to head down for rating now. Well, it's obvious. It's not an album that you're going to get on the first sitting. It's something that you're going to have to work at. Again, the thing with VDGGs, you do have to work at them. You do have to go back. You do have to kind of learn to love them. And this album is ugly in places. It's not a thing of beauty. If you think King Crimson makes ugly music, VDGG raises the bar and then cuts off King Crimson's legs so they can't even see the bar. That's what they do. So, as a rating, I give this a very solid 5 Yohinji Cracky Crackies out of 5. That's 5 Yohinji Cracky Crackies out of 5. My name's been Darren Locke, and I've been talking about Pawn Hearts by Van der Graaf Generator. And again, thumbs up, thumbs down, subscribe, unsubscribe. You know, make your dog watch the video, tell your granny. I must come up with a better script. And thanks for joining me. There's only one more thing to say. You know what I'm going to say? It's coming. Prog on.